All right, so in this video, we're going to look into downloading and installing a few tools that will help us create databases. All right, so the first thing we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and say mysql.com, just like that. Okay, just go on Google, and you will come to this website here. Now, MySQL is a platform that allows us to create databases, right? Database tables and connect to them and do all sort of things. Now, once we are on this website here, we're going to go to Downloads. We are going to the Community tab here. Scroll down. We want let's go to MySQL Windows installer. Click on this one. Now, if you are on Windows, you would click here, MySQL for Windows. And you come down here and select your operating system. So go ahead and pick one. So I would go ahead and get the second one here. So go ahead and say download. I won't do this one because I am on Mac, but if you're on Windows, so go ahead and click this to download. Okay, it takes a few seconds and you can do that. And the next thing you need to install, let's go back, it's going to be the MySQL connector. So click here. We want this one here, connector/J, just stands for Java. Okay, so click on connector J and go ahead and download one as well. Since I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and download this one here. When you go down here, say just no thanks and proceed to downloading. All right. And for next one, we need to download. And yes, I know there's a few items that we need to download here. All right. So for Mac, you go to Community and you go to MySQL Community Server, like that. Okay, this is the Community one, and you can go ahead here and find all sort of different operating systems, right? Also, there's Windows. So you can click on Windows. It will give us the installer for Windows, and it'll give you different versions. Okay, in fact, this is probably the best way. So you go to Community Server, right? And you go to, you can drop down here the operating system to select. There's Ubuntu, Debian, and so many others operating system. And I am on Mac, of course. So if you're on Windows, click on Windows, and you can figure out which one you want. So if it's 32-bit, or you can use the Windows 64 bits, depending on your machine. All right. And once you select that, you go ahead and download accordingly to your machine specifications. I am on Mac, so I'm going to go to Mac OS X. I'm going to take the first one here, the DMG archive, and I'm going to say download. Go to the bottom here. I'm going to say no thanks. Just start downloading. And as you can see, it will take a little bit to get all of the things that I need. All right, once it's all downloaded, I'm going to double click here. And it will open or unzip my DMG file. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to just double click here to start installing my SQL installer here. Say continue. Say continue again. Well, I have to agree first. Destination, that's all good. Say install. Of course, I have to put my password there. The beauty of being on Mac. Okay, so now it's installing MySQL 5.7.19, and don't worry too much about this number here. If you're watching this video at a later time, this number may change, but the idea is that we went to the right website to install our MySQL installer. It'll take a few seconds. All right, the moment it does that, it says here, temporary password generated for root local is this one. So I'm going to copy this so that I have it. Okay, that's very important. I'm going to copy this and put somewhere safe. Okay, say OK. And I'm going to go say and close. Move to trash, that's fine. And then I'm going to go ahead and install my SQL Workbench. Double click there. All right, there it is. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just place inside of my applications. There we go. It's all done. And I'm going to run it. So I'm going to say Workbench as such. It should start it pretty soon. Say open if you're on Mac. And there we go. So on Windows, you will have the same you would have a different process of installing, of course, but the idea is the same. You just follow the instructions, the wizard, and you should be okay. All right, so here we go. I have my SQL workbench. For now, I'm just gonna minimize this. Now let's click on MySQL connector there. Now this MySQL connector here, it has some information that we will be using at a later time. But the most important thing is that we have this MySQL connector Java jar file, which is the jar file that we're going to be using inside of our IntelliJ IDE so that we will be able to connect to our MySQL workbench, MySQL database. Okay. All right. So we'll do that in a little bit. So next thing we need to do, we are going to open MySQL workbench here. It has a very nice interface. And as you can see here, we need to connect to a SQL database. So I'm going to go ahead and say plus here. Before we do any of that, let's make sure we install the MySQL. All right, so I'm going to double click here. Say continue. Agree. Take a few seconds. Let's say keep. All right, let's see if we can find the MySQL installation there. Okay, so click on MySQL, that installation. You notice here it says here the SQL Server instance is stopped. In order for this to actually work, we have to go and say start MySQL. Of course, I have to pass my password. This is my system password, of course. And there we go. Now it says the MySQL Server instance is running. All right, so what I'm going to do here, I'm going to go say connect here. And next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to call this my connection. All right, everything looks great. Let's go to our chain here. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to add the password that we received earlier, right? When we installed this, Control V, I'm going to say okay. And then I'm just going to go ahead and say okay. There we go. Once you said okay, you notice we have our connection here. So once we do that, I'm going to go ahead and click on this little information button there. And then this pops up. And then I'm going to say connect. So once you have that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to just go ahead and pass in the password that I've added earlier. Once you've done that. Now, the reason why I'm getting this screen here is because I already reset my password. If this is your first time, what's going to happen is you're going to have you're going to receive a new window, which will ask you to enter the old password, which would mean the password that you received when we installed, right? The first password. And then you will have to add the new password and then confirm it and say okay or enter, okay? So now, since I've already done that, I'm just putting my new password that I've added as a new password. So I'm going to say okay, and there we go. Once you do that, you should see that you're now connected to the database, and you have here this connection of this window popping up. So you can click on Server Status. It will show you that the status is on. So we have our database is on. Everything is as we want. So it's running. As you can see, there it is. All right. Perfect. So if you got to here with no problem, then you are ready to go. Okay? All right. So I'll see you in the next video.